Welcome to this Wood Solutions campus presentation on renewables and their importance to making and operating buildings. Humans are part of the world's ecosystems, and our actions change those ecosystems. Sustainable development aims to reduce the potential for this change to be detrimental. Sustainable development also requires increased reliance on renewable resources and economic withdrawal from the use of non-renewable ones. Renewable resources are those that return to their previous stock levels after exploitation by natural processes of replenishment or growth. There are two major types of renewable resources. The first is natural forces. Forces such as sunlight and rain drive solar, hydropower, wind, wave, and similar energy sources. The other type of renewable resources is animals and plants. These are renewable resources that regenerate and regrow after each harvest. They provide materials such as wood, grains, fibre such as wool and cotton, and fuel.
What's a renewable? Something that is renewable, in essence, is something that we can use and it will be replaced by the planet by natural processes. So we think of sunlight as something that's renewable. It comes from the sky, we can use the energy from that and we can use it again. And in essence, that's what the plant is using. It's using sunlight and carbon dioxide to create a renewable process, grow the tree, and then we can use that, and then we can grow another tree and use that again. It's renewable.
There are limits to the availability of renewable resources. Natural forces have to be available when they are needed to provide the energy source. They have to provide the rain that fills the hydro dam or the wind that blows the turbine. Organisms such as plants and animals require time and space, either on land or in water, to renew themselves after each exploitation or harvest. If they are used too quickly, they cannot replace themselves and can disappear. So how does using renewable resources relate to making and operating buildings? The built environment consumes large amounts of resources to make and to operate. These resources are embodied in the materials used to make the built environment and consumed directly during its operation. Both stages, making the buildings and operating them, generate considerable environmental impacts, particularly greenhouse gas emissions. One strategy for sustainable development is to optimize the use of renewable resources in making and operating buildings, and avoiding the use of non-renewable resources where possible. This table shows the potential areas for use of resources in buildings, either making buildings or operating them. It also shows the two major types of renewable resources, natural forces and renewables from organisms. If we look at what is regular practice or rare with these resources, we see that we find it very hard to make buildings from natural forces, but we regularly use them to operate buildings. We use solar hot water, hydro and wind power for electricity supply, and passive solar heating. With renewables from organisms, we see that we regularly use renewable materials like wood, wool and cotton to make buildings, furniture and coverings. We also regularly use renewable materials as fuel to operate our buildings, running wood-fired boilers to provide heating alternative, or run particular facilities and processes. Of course, one of the major renewable materials available for making and operating buildings is timber and wood products. We grow different species of trees, softwood or hardwood, to provide the timber that we need for particular applications. And nature has provided us with a range of special species whose timber is both beautiful and a joy to work with. We can then use the bits that are not suitable for making buildings as fuel to operate them. And with correct management, once we have harvested the trees to make and operate our buildings, we can regrow the trees so that we or the next generation can make or operate theirs. That's because timber and wood products are renewable materials. In summary, sustainable development requires increased reliance on renewable resources and economic withdrawal from the use of non-renewable ones. Renewable resources return to their previous stock levels after exploitation. Natural forces are continually replenishing renewable resources. Organisms are renewable resources that require time and space to renew themselves. Buildings consume significant resources embodied in its material and consumed during its operation. One strategy for sustainable development is to optimize the use of renewable resources in making and operating buildings. And timber and wood products are one of the major renewable resources available.